She stood trembling in the firelight, wearing only a torn wet chemise clinging to her body. The poor ranch hand had pulled her from the frozen river. Now he needed to warm her before she died. She whispered, "Please, be gentle, I have never done this before." What happened next changed the world forever. Montana Territory 1874. Marcus Webb was the poorest man in Silver Creek Town. He lived in a one-room shack and worked brutal hours for pennies. Tonight he rode home exhausted through a deadly blizzard. Then he heard desperate screaming from the frozen river below. A woman was drowning in the ice-cold black water. Marcus jumped off his horse without thinking. He dove into the freezing river. The cold was like 1,000 knives stabbing every inch of his body. He grabbed the drowning woman and fought against the current. Her heavy, expensive dress was dragging them both down. He ripped fabric, tearing it away. Finally he pulled her to the snowy shore. Both were dying from cold. The woman was unconscious and turning blue. Marcus knew hypothermia would kill them both within minutes. His tiny shack was the only shelter for miles. He lifted her limp body onto his horse and rode through the blinding storm. Inside he frantically built a fire. Her wet clothes had to come off immediately or she would die. All of them. There was no choice. Marcus' hands were frozen and shaking violently as he tried to unfasten her dress. It was pure silk with hundreds of tiny pearl buttons. Nothing like clothes he had ever seen. She was clearly wealthy beyond imagination. Maybe nobility. And here he was about to strip her completely naked. But she would die if he did not. He began cutting the expensive dress away with his knife. Marcus cut away the heavy dress, revealing layers of soaked undergarments. The corset. The petticoats. All had to be removed. He tried to look away to preserve her dignity, but he had no choice. Finally she wore only a thin wet chemise clinging transparently to her body. Even that had to go. He peeled it off, leaving her completely naked. He wrapped her in his only blanket, then stripped down himself. Skin-to-skin contact. The only way to survive. After 2 hours the woman's eyes slowly opened. She found herself naked under a blanket pressed against an equally naked strange man. She gasped and tried to pull away. Then she saw her ruined dress in pieces on the floor. The poor cabin. The fire. Marcus quickly said, "You were drowning then freezing." "I had no choice. I tried to save your life. Please understand. I meant no disrespect." The woman stared at Marcus with piercing, intelligent eyes. She said softly, "What is your name?" Marcus replied, "Marcus Webb, miss. Just a ranch hand. Nobody important." The woman studied him. His honest face. His poverty. The fact he saved her life. She said slowly, "I am Princess Catherine Adelaide Victoria. Daughter of Governor William Adelaide. Heir to the entire Montana Territory. And you just saved the future ruler's life." Marcus felt his world collapse. He had touched royalty. Seen her naked. Held her naked body against his. He would be executed for this. He stammered, "Your Highness, I did not know. I swear I only tried to save you. Please believe me." Catherine held up a hand. She said, "I do believe you. You saved my life. But Marcus, we have a serious problem. If anyone discovers I was here naked with you, they will demand your death and my reputation will be destroyed." Marcus felt his world collapse. He had touched royalty. Seen her naked. Held her naked body against his. He would be. Catherine said, "I was running away tonight. My father arranged my marriage to Lord Edmund Blackwood. He is a monster. Cruel. Violent. Evil. I refused. I took a horse and fled. In the storm I fell into the river. I thought I would die. Then you appeared. You gave me a chance at freedom. But if they find me here with you, that chance dies. We both die. Marcus listened in horror. He said, they will search everywhere. When they find you here like this, they will assume I kidnapped you. Violated you. They will hang me. Catherine locked eyes with him. She said, then we make a deal. I tell them I fell in the river. You rescued me. Brought me here because it was closest. You were a perfect gentleman. In exchange I will reward you with gold. Enough to change your life. Do we have an agreement? Catherine said, but Marcus, I need your shirt. I cannot face my father wearing only a blanket. Marcus hesitated. He had only one other shirt. His best shirt. The only decent clothing he owned. But she was a princess. He retrieved it. Catherine stood keeping the blanket wrapped around her. She said, turn around please. Marcus turned away, giving privacy. He heard the blanket drop. His imagination ran wild. Then she said, you can look now. Marcus stared. She was the most beautiful thing he had ever seen. Even in his poor shirt she looked like a queen. Catherine saw how he looked at her. Something stirred inside her. This poor honest man who saved her life. Who asked nothing. Who respected her. She felt safer with him than she ever had with wealthy nobility. It made no sense. But it was true. Catherine said quietly, I wish I could stay here. In this simple cabin. Away from everything. Free. Marcus looked at her with longing. He said, I wish that too. But you are a princess. You will rule this territory someday. I am nothing. We live in different worlds that can never meet. Catherine moved closer. She whispered, right now in this cabin there are no different worlds. There is only us. Then she kissed him. The kiss deepened. Catherine wrapped her arms around Marcus's neck. He held her close, feeling her body through the thin shirt. They broke apart, breathing hard. Marcus whispered, they will be here soon. This is all we have. One night. One kiss. Catherine touched his face. She said, then I will remember it forever. Marcus said, so will I. Every detail. Every moment. You. Outside horses approached. Their impossible moment was ending. Reality crashed back. The door burst open. Governor Adelaide stormed in with 20 armed guards. He saw his daughter wearing only a poor man's shirt. The poor shirtless man beside her. His face turned purple. He roared, you dare touch a princess. I will have you tortured and hanged. Catherine stepped between them. Father, no. He saved my life. Nothing inappropriate happened. He was honorable. The governor did not believe her. Catherine said loudly, Father, I fell in the river. I was drowning and freezing. This man saved my life. He gave me warmth and shelter. He asked for nothing. He treated me with complete respect. If you punish him, you prove you care nothing for justice or truth. Only for your pride. The entire territory will know you executed my savior. Is that the legacy you want? The governor stared at his daughter. He saw her determination. Her strength. The man cowering behind her did look poor and honest. Not like a kidnapper. Finally he said coldly, fine. No execution. But you, peasant, you will take this gold and disappear. Leave Montana territory forever. If I ever see you again, you die. Do you understand? Marcus met his eyes. He said quietly, yes, sir. I understand perfectly. Catherine was dragged from the cabin. She looked back at Marcus one final time. Their eyes met. A lifetime of what could have been passed between them. Then she was gone. Marcus stood alone in his cabin. He looked at the bag of gold. The shirt she wore was gone with her. He would never see her again. He had saved a princess, lost his heart, and been exiled. All in one night. Marcus left Montana that day. He rode south with his bag of gold and broken heart. He tried to forget Catherine. But every night he dreamed of her. Her kiss. Her laugh. The way she looked in his shirt by firelight. He had touched royalty for one night. Now he had to live the rest of his life knowing she existed somewhere. Unreachable. Untouchable. Forever beyond him. 10 years passed. Marcus used the gold wisely. He traveled to California and invested in shipping. Then railroads. Then banks. He worked day and night. Built an empire. By 1884 Marcus Webb was one of the 10 richest men in America. Wealthier than kings. More powerful than governors. But still he thought of Catherine every single day. The princess he loved and lost. Meanwhile Catherine had been forced to marry Lord Edmund Blackwood. It was hell. He was cruel and violent just as she feared. But Catherine did not break. She endured. She planned. She built political alliances secretly. And when her father died suddenly in 1883, Catherine inherited control of Montana Territory. She immediately divorced Edmund using her new power. Then she did something unprecedented. She declared herself governor. The first female governor in American history. News spread across America. The female governor. The divorced princess. Society was scandalized. But Catherine did not care. She used her power to pass laws protecting women. Reforming marriage laws. Giving women property rights. She became a revolutionary. The press called her the Iron Princess. Her enemies called her worse. But women across America called her Hope. She was changing the world. But still her heart ached for Marcus. The poor ranch hand who saved her life and taught her about real honor. Then in 1884 everything changed. Montana needed investment for railroads and infrastructure. Catherine had to meet with the wealthiest businessmen in America. One name on the list made her heart stop. Marcus Webb. Railroad magnate. Banking titan. One of the richest men alive. It could not be the same Marcus. Could it? But there was a note. Originally from Montana. Catherine's hands shook. She sent the invitation. Come to Montana. Let us discuss business. She signed it simply. Governor Adelaide. Marcus arrived in Montana 1 month later. His private train car. His assistants. His wealth on full display. But when he stepped onto the platform his heart was pounding. He was back. In the territory he had been exiled from. He walked into the governor's mansion. Was shown to the office. The door opened. And there stood Catherine. 10 years older. More beautiful. Powerful. Their eyes met. The world stopped. Neither spoke for a full minute. Finally Catherine said, Marcus. You are Marcus Webb. The business titan. Marcus nodded. He said, and you are Governor Adelaide. The Iron Princess. They both smiled sadly at the same time. Look at us, Catherine said. You became a king of industry. I became a ruler. We both got what we wanted. Except the one thing that mattered. Marcus said quietly, I never forgot that night, Catherine. Not one detail. You in my shirt by the fire. The kiss. The way you looked at me like I mattered. Like I was worth something. Everything I built hoping someday I would be worthy of you. Catherine's eyes filled with tears. She said, you were always worthy. You saved my life. You treated me with more respect than any noble ever did. I wore your shirt under my wedding dress. I still have it. Marcus said, I followed your career. Your divorce. Your rise to power. Your reforms. You changed the world, Catherine. You saved thousands of women. You became everything you were meant to be. Catherine said, and you built an empire that employs tens of thousands. You treat workers fairly. You prove that wealth and ethics can coexist. You changed the world too. We both did. Just not together. That is our tragedy. Catherine said, the kingdom needs your railroads, Marcus. Montana needs your investment. I need your help to modernize the territory. Will you work with me? Marcus said, of course. But Catherine, we need to discuss what happened that night. This past decade. Us. Catherine shook her head. She said, we cannot go back, Marcus. We are different people now. You are a business emperor. I am a political governor. We have responsibilities. Obligations. It is too late for us. They sat by the fire talking through the freezing night. Catherine told Marcus about her life. The gilded cage. The political pressures. The loveless arranged marriage. The suffocation of royalty. Marcus told her about his life. The freedom of having nothing. The dignity of honest work. The dream of something better someday. As dawn approached, they both realized something impossible was happening. They were falling for each other. Over the next 5 years, Marcus and Catherine worked together, transforming Montana. His railroads connected remote towns. His banks financed small businesses. Her laws protected workers and women. Together they built hospitals, schools, and libraries. Montana prospered like never before. They met often for business. Always professional. Always formal. But everyone saw the way they looked at each other. The love that never died. Just transformed. The press speculated endlessly. Would Governor Adelaide marry the railroad baron? Were they in love? Catherine always said, Mr. Webb and I have a professional partnership. We share a commitment to Montana's future. Nothing more. Marcus always said, Governor Adelaide is a visionary leader. I am honored to work with her. That is all. But alone at night they both knew the truth. They loved each other desperately. They always would. They simply chose duty over desire. Years passed. By 1895, Montana was the most progressive territory in America. Model laws. Thriving economy. Women's rights advanced. Worker protections strong. Everyone knew it was because of Governor Adelaide and Marcus Webb. The partnership that built a future. They remained unmarried. Devoted to their work. To Montana. To the lives they touched. Together but apart. On the 20th anniversary of the night they met, Catherine invited Marcus to her private residence. Not the governor's mansion. Her personal home. Small. Simple. Marcus arrived confused. Catherine opened the door wearing a simple dress. She said, "Come in, Marcus. Tonight we are not governor and business leader. Tonight we are just Catherine and Marcus. The two people from that cabin. I want one night without titles. Just us. Remembering." They sat by the fire talking like they had that first night. Catherine said, "I never married Marcus. I told myself it was for political reasons. But truth is I never stopped loving you. Every man I met I compared to you. None measured up." Marcus said, "I never married either. I built my empire to be worthy of you. But once I had it I realized it did not matter. You loved me when I was poor. That meant everything." Catherine reached into a chest. She pulled out his shirt. The one she wore that night 20 years ago. Faded and worn from being held so many times. She said, "I told you I kept it." Marcus's eyes filled with tears. He said, "I kept the blanket. The one we shared that night. I could never let it go." They both laughed through tears. Two powerful people holding onto memories of one night. The night that changed everything. Marcus said, "Catherine, why did you invite me here tonight?" Catherine took his hand. She said, "Because in all these years building Montana we forgot to live for ourselves. We chose duty, responsibility, the greater good. And we changed thousands of lives. But we never gave ourselves permission to be happy. To be together. I am asking now. After 20 years. Do you still love me?" Marcus said, "Every single day. Every moment. Always." Catherine said, "Then I have a proposal. Not marriage. We are too set in our ways. Too independent. Too devoted to our work. But what if we lived honestly? As partners in life, not just business. We keep our separate positions. Our separate homes. But we stop pretending. We stop hiding. We let Montana see that the governor and the railroad baron are in love. Have been for 20 years. Would you accept that?" Marcus kissed her answer. The next day Montana woke to shocking news. Governor Catherine Adelaide and Marcus Webb announced they were in a relationship. Not marriage. A partnership of equals. Two independent, powerful people choosing to be together openly. Society was scandalized. But Montana citizens cheered. They had always seen the love. Now their heroes could stop hiding. It was revolutionary. Unconventional. Perfect for them. Catherine and Marcus lived the next 20 years as partners. Never married. Each keeping their independence. Their separate homes. Their separate work. But deeply in love. They had dinner together every evening. Worked together every day. Supported each other's visions. And at night they finally admitted what their hearts always knew. They belonged together. In their own way. On their own terms. By 1915 Catherine was 64. Marcus was 68. Catherine had been governor for 32 years. Longest serving in American history. She had transformed Montana into a beacon of progress. Women voted. Workers had rights. Education flourished. She was a living legend. Marcus meanwhile had become one of the 5 richest men in the world. His railroads connected the continent. His banks financed growth everywhere. But his greatest pride was Montana. The territory he built with the woman he loved. Then in 1916 the United States Congress made Montana a full state. Catherine was asked to be the first elected governor of the state of Montana. She accepted. At 65 she won in a landslide. The people loved her. But Catherine knew her time was ending. She was tired. She had fought for 40 years. She had changed the world. Now it was time for the next generation. She announced she would serve one term then retire. In 1920 Catherine retired at 69. She had served as territorial and state governor for 37 years. She had passed over 200 progressive laws. Educated 2 generations. Protected thousands of women. She was the most influential female politician in American history. At her retirement ceremony Marcus stood beside her. She said, "Montana, I gave you my life. You gave me purpose. Thank you. But I am not the hero. The hero was a poor ranch hand who saved a drowning princess 46 years ago. He taught me that worth is not about birth. It is about character. Everything I did started that night." Marcus died peacefully in 1923 at age 76. Catherine held his hand. His last words were, "That night in the cabin was the best night of my life. Not because of what we did. But because I met you. You made my life mean something." Catherine wept. She said, "You made my life mean something too. You saved me. Not just from drowning. From a life without purpose." I love you. Marcus smiled. He said, I know. I always knew. Then he was gone. Catherine lived 5 more years. She died in 1928 at age 77. Her funeral was attended by thousands. Presidents, senators, citizens, everyone whose life she touched. She was buried beside Marcus. Not as Governor Adelaide. Just as Catherine. The woman who loved a poor ranch hand. Who built a state. Who changed America. Her tombstone read simply, she saved thousands. He saved her. Together they saved Montana. 2 people. 1 night. 1 love. 50 years. That is how legends are born. But Marcus said, what if we do not try to go back? What if we go forward? As equals. You as governor. Me as investor. We build Montana together. Not as lovers. As partners. We change this territory. We finish what we started that night. Saving lives. Making things better. We may not be together but we can work together. Catherine considered this. Finally she nodded. She extended her hand. Partners. Marcus shook it. Partners.